Now, a Talk Radio 1210 WPHT special presentation.
It's the end of the world.
Hey, Nero, let's put a trigger warning on trigger warnings.
I gotta take it on the other side.
Dude, what is going on in Philadelphia? Another prison escape. You seeing this crap?
It's always something.
It really is. It really is. Welcome back in for another Otherside. I finished my post stuff. Anthony, you got the girlfriend / wife. He dropped off at a train station, and now we're good to go, huh?
Yep, ready to roll. Like you said, I heard sirens when I was out and about today, and I was wondering, is that the escape prisoner? So it's funny how we're a little desensitized to it, but
yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you're just finding out now, some guy named Gino Hagenkotter, and quite the name. He escaped Philadelphia Correctional Facility on State Road, Philadelphia Industrial Correctional Facility on State Road, where he left without permission. So again, Philadelphia, the ineptness of this city government coming through again. The lights that you are the lights and sirens that you heard though right now, I think it might be down at City Hall. They're doing the tree lighting, and I think there's probably those protests that Don was talking about happening.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So let's start local today. We'll talk some national and get into a lot of entertainment because I am not feeling great after having bleach fall into my eye yesterday. It was horrible.
Home ownership.
But SEPTA, dude, has these new branded gifts that have taken over social media, and they're selling out. It's become like the Eagles Christmas album of this year. It's I don't know. Are you getting anything for the wife that's SEPTA involved?
I was looking at the SEPTA sweatpants. I know this went viral after there's apparently a cheesesteak shop in Japan. And that cheesesteak shop, as they're serving Philly style things, they were selling, as you could see there, the SEPTA pint glasses. And those were a regular thing they serve with their steak sandwiches. People in the city actually saw that. And since then, that's been circulating Twitter over the weekend. And SEPTA actually, they dropped new sweatpants as all this hype has been around it. And they've been fulfilling a ton of new orders. I saw something, it was I think around 200 orders over the weekend, which isn't as normal for a company like SEPTA selling some merch. So people are excited about it. It's kind of funny. I mean, at the same time, I don't know. Do I love
Is it the irony that people are buying into, or is it like the Philadelphia pride, you think?
I think it's a little bit of the Philly pride, but at the same time, people, I don't know. It's just a little, what's up with everything with merch now? There's so much hype. Anytime there's merch, people immediately go snag it and try to resell it. So I don't know. It's a weird phenomenon, especially for just SEPTA of all things. But
Not bad price is $18.87, but I'd be kind of embarrassed to rock some SEPTA with the current state of affairs.
They have maps of the Broad Street line and stuff like that. I feel like
cool.
that'd be kind of cool for my apartment. I like that. I feel like I'd do something more like that, or the pint glasses. I do like the pint glasses, and they have even like a die cast SEPTA bus, like a fake bus. That'd be cool. I mean, I need to make a backdrop anyway. That'd be cool on the backdrop.
The thing that went viral, I saw it on Reddit, the Japanese restaurant, the Philadelphia restaurant.
Yeah.
It's some guy, he loves Philadelphia soul music. And he opened up a restaurant that's like all Philadelphia based, Rocky on the walls, and sells cheesesteaks. But like, if you went to Tokyo, would you go out of your way to go to this place? I
mean,
doesn't really draw me in much.
For us, I don't necessarily think I would. I mean, if anything, if I was passing by, I'd stop in to kind of pay homage to the owner and just be like, hey, I heard about you guys. But I don't know. As someone, I've been to other cities and they have like a Philly cheesesteak joint, and it's
horrible.
I mean, sometimes they do try, like occasionally.
Remember Subway's cheesesteak when they had it?
Oh God, stop!
They had peppers on it, or Jersey Mike's has a Subway, or not? So
I went somewhere.
Terrible.
I'm trying to think where it was. I believe it was California, actually. San Diego.
Oh, California cheesesteak.
Yeah, and we went to a cheesesteak place. I will say the guy was from Philly, and they got Amoroso rolls flown in, so he was putting an effort in. They were halfway decent, but like, why do I want that when I'm going somewhere else? Like, I want fish tacos if I'm in San Diego. You know what I mean?
I don't want to be horrible. Like, Philadelphia courses through my veins. Super overrated sandwich.
Oh, dude, the roast pork sandwich or an Italian hoagie from South Philly, like, just that's in my opinion far and away better.
So much
far and away better. Yeah,
I feel like 90% of Philadelphians, if you ask them that too, they would agree.
Oh, dude, the roast pork
Like the
just
Nick's roast pork or
yeah,
John's
yeah.
down in South
Well,
Philly.
it's so
Oh,
much more layered. There's so much more to it, and don't get me wrong, I like a good
broccoli
cheesesteak.
rabe with some sharp dude, I don't know what
Oh,
I'm doing for dinner yet. I might just stop at John's on the way home and grab
yeah.
something for me amazing.
Oh my god, dude. It's unreal the sandwiches here. So that's when I go to other cities, I want to, if I'm in Japan, I want some sushi, man. Like come on.
Yeah, for
It's
real. Like one of those hole in the wall places that's just you and the sushi chef sitting at a bar,
exactly.
like in Monsters Inc. You know Monsters Inc. That one scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll stick on SEPTA, and they had their contest today. It's the Festivus. Have you ever heard of this? Every
I
year
did
they
I did see this. Is this something are they gonna be using these buses or is this just for show for the tree lighting? Or is
So, this weekend and next weekend, if you go to Love Park, they're gonna have them displayed, so you can actually walk through them and all, and there's, like, Instagram opportunities. Here's the winner, though. This is, Wizard of Oz themed.
oh wow.
Yeah, like, they go all out.
It's like a freaking rave on that thing.
Right? You hear the music and everything?
Look at those costumes, incredible.
Yeah, I might have to check that out.
Yeah, it actually seems like something kind of fun. I kinda wanted to trash it and make fun of it, but seems kind of fun. Here's, the come on, why is my computer being so slow here? The Oz bus outside. Um, but whatever. I'm gonna skip that because this one's my favorite one right here. It's Ninja Turtles themed, number 2.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, check this out if it works. Dude, what's with the work computers? We need new computers. Let's get Odyssey on. Yeah, how great is that?
And if you are on the list here, we got they have the whole like garage facing the front, green and yellow paint,
Hold on, let me mute
red
this.
accents.
Go ahead. Sorry, say that again. I missed everything you just said.
No, you're good. It has pretty much like a paper mache. Is that almost on the front of
Yeah. Oh
the
yeah, because we're
Ninja
probably gonna
Turtles?
podcast this as well, so we should probably tell what we're looking at here.
Yeah, for sure. It's more like paper what is that? Mache. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying.
Yeah, it's
And then
called paper mache, Anthony.
green and yellow accents on the bus with little red trim, and that one is really awesome.
All right,
Especially,
let me ask the political question though. Is this a waste of money? I mean, like who's funding this crap? And are they who repaints the buses after they're done with it?
I wonder if this isn't some sort of external program that is absolutely insane. That this is where the SEPTA money's going. It makes me not want to get that merch that we were talking about.
Third place is top elf based on
Oh, of course, they got to play the music.
yeah, that's why I have audio on this one. Yeah.
Just straight up, just has a a jet front type of thing.
So I was riding the L one time, and they had like this one train car. Dude, what is going on with my tech today? This is terrible. Yeah, so I just showed the Top Elf one. That one's based on Top Gun. It was styled in the vein of a jet. But one year I was riding the Broad Street line, and there was one car that was entirely decorated like this, and I think it might have been part of this. So I feel like at some point they do actually make it into commission, and yeah, make it around. But so a lot going on in the city. New police commissioner, new mayor coming in. Um, there was a thing in city council today that passed, and I want your thoughts on it. Ski masks are banned, and like on your way out after Dawn show, you were like effusively like, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't." So expound. What's your thoughts on this new ski mask ban here in Philly?
Yeah, nobody will listen to it. It's going to be a cultural thing, especially a lot of the leftist politicians and working families party city council members. I can already see their rebuttals to things like this. In a way, I think Sherelle and Bethel will probably really be, I would think, supportive of this. Technically, it's still the Kenny administration right now, so maybe they'll try to play that card and blame it on them, at least for the time being, if this is fully official and is finalized. I just think already they banned them on SEPTA. I have still seen them. Actually, on Sunday, I wore My Eagle
No,
ski mask.
no.
Yeah, yeah,
You have one? Like, do you have like one of the actual like balaclava
yeah. It's like
Kanye West
it's
style?
you can only see my eyes,
Oh
but
no.
it's
Did
like
you?
beanie material. It's Eagles. It's like green pattern. I
Okay.
I should have grabbed it. I should have wore
Yeah.
it for this segment.
That's not bad. It's not one of like the black Under Armour, ones that are.
No, I don't look like like Drake or something in it. The way
Yeah.
that like the
I
rappers.
hate that it's become a fashion statement because like 6 months ago, well, longer than that though, when people were wearing them in like 95-degree heat, this made a lot more sense because there's absolutely no reason to be out there in 100-degree weather
Exactly.
wearing a ski mask. But
Well, that's why I think stop and frisk is a smart thing if you're going to be doing that in the summer. And don't say it's a fashion statement. If it's 90 degrees out and you're wearing a full on face mask, like why do you need that on? In the winter, I could understand it. And that's why we were talking earlier when Kalen Company was on this morning. They were talking about this. And Nick was pretty much saying he's all for bans. We can't pick and choose these things. Like with freedom, you have to just be okay with it. And that's why I think something like, giving police the chance to intervene when they feel the need to is smart, but you can't just ban things. Like people are going to wear what they want to wear. It's not going to be a full on, and just banning is, in my opinion, for any reason for someone wearing a ski mask, like to just be stopped at all times in the summer, I think is fair. But in the winter, I don't know. It's something, I could understand why
I kind of
it
like
goes
it though.
against freedom.
It's like a
Okay.
preventative measure to a degree, though, because if you like, I was talking to Dom about it. A lot of what's happening is there's packs of 20, 30 teenagers that have these masks on walking down Walnut. If you make all the teenagers take it off, they're less likely to go in and shoplift in these stores.
True.
So, like, it's a
Yeah.
butterfly effect kind of thing. If you drill into the public that they can't be wearing these ski masks, then they're not gonna, commit crimes.
But how do you enforce that at the same time? That's the big question, I think.
Cops on patrol, cop on the street. I mean, it's what
Yeah.
progressives love to say most that they want is, just the beat cop walking the street, you know?
I'm just worried about with SEPTA, they've already pretty much said that this is end all be all, this is what they're doing, and I haven't seen much change. I just think, are the police going to take that same approach? Do they just want to avoid that conflict? Is this going to be, a hearsay law and that's still ignored? Which I think, to your point of this new leadership, which it is a transition period, but if they want to come out here strong and prove they meant what they said about policing and changing and having new leadership, then they need
Where are
to
you feeling on
come.
that? Where's your vibe right now on them following through on their word? Cheryl Parker in particular coming on the Dom show as she great, great guest, and she openly talks about how she's in favor of constitutional stop and frisk, which you say that phrase in progressive circles and you're getting yelled out of the room most of the time. So do you think she's actually gonna follow through with this type of rhetoric and, you know, friendliness with the police force?
I will say early on, when the primary was still relevant, Sherelle was pressed on her police opinions by former Mayor Nutter. And he mentioned that 300 officers, which is her claim, which I actually think is a very realistic claim. And I respect her for putting out a realistic claim because so many politicians will put out just some unrealistic claim just to say something to get in office. So I respect her for putting out a number that's achievable. Um, 300 officers in the city, trying to get them all to walk the beat and kind of have the strength in numbers and give this city that almost no neighborhood vibe, and having officers that can throw the ball with the kids in the neighborhood and know the parents on the corner that are waiting for the bus, and like that is something we need. And I know she enforces that, but Mayor Nutter has said to her 300 officers. I think that might be 3 officers max in every district in the city. So it's just not enough. And
Yeah.
that's something I
But
just
Mayor
hope the
Nutter
police.
has said
I
to
hope
her,
they take
300
that.
officers.
I
I
hope
think
they
that
take
might
that
be
next step and find a way to kind of mitigate that because they feel supported. Because before they weren't doing anything because they didn't feel supported. And that is,
Do
I
you
think,
think
the biggest
if
issue.
you're a young guy coming out of the police academy, well, I guess you determine your police academy based on which department you choose. But if you're a guy coming out of high school, college, and you want to get into policing, Sherelle now sitting there, I gotta say, me personally, I'm much more excited to be a Philadelphia police officer now, coming in. And I do like we've had record numbers of horrible recruitment. Like I think there were classes that were in the tens rather than the hundreds recently. Uh, some even lower, like maybe even the single digits, if I remember correctly. It's horrible, pitiful recruitment. And if you're going to hire that many officers to walk the beat, you got to create an environment where people want to come to work here. So do you think like I do, that she is creating that environment for young people to want to come work in the city of Philadelphia?
I mean, more than Outlaw and Kenny, sure. How much more is that is the real question.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even convincing people to want to put forward to this cause, let alone not only join the police, but be a resident in this city and have hope and optimism day in and day out, which you and I know it's hard. I mean, you just left. You were someone who didn't want to leave the
Yeah.
city. You just left the city. You didn't really want to leave it. I mean, but it's impossible to kind of take that step forward and raise a family here. I shouldn't say impossible. Some people do it,
Yeah.
but to be in the nicest neighborhoods and to be able to kind of live a normal, safe, sane life, it's hard. So fighting that fight and making sure, people care enough about the city to even not just live here, fight for day in and day out in almost sometimes warlike conditions. There was a man today found zip tied dead in his apartment.
Yeah. Fizzetti posted that.
And that's another. This is another. We're used to hearing insane, weird crimes that happen in this area all the time, and it's not saying that they go unnoticed, but it's
Have you
we're
been
numb
desensitized?
to it.
Like, is it
We're
the
numb
job?
to it. Yeah.
So Mary, like, is Mary desensitized to the news at this point, or
I
is it
think
just our
I think
job?
anyone is around. If you listen to the news on a daily basis, or if you're in and around Philly and just hear these things, we all are. Like everyone acts like it's normal. We can't, and that's the thing that drives me nuts. Not that, and I think this is a great. I don't want to veer off too far, but I feel like the most insane example is how with school shootings, which I think there's only been, and I shouldn't say only because one's too many, always. But I think it's 178 victims in school shooting, gun violence, dead, which is horrifying, terrible. No student should have to have that horror in their eyes while studying for a test or just trying to learn. You should never have to deal with that. But at the same time, when it comes to the city, we're used to over 100 students in Philadelphia have been shot at this
Yeah.
year, and we're just used to it because the media
Hold
is
on,
used to that.
those numbers. Are they like young students? Or are we talking college students?
This is high school age, but
Okay.
I know some of them are even younger too. Some of them that I mean,
I didn't know
and
that many. That's freaking nuts.
in the yeah, you can track it. There's Philly Crime has different trackers, and even the Enquirer has different trackers on shooting victims and ages over and that's not dead. I mean, it's a very low number dead, but shot at, stray bullets in neighborhoods where guns were aimed, shot, fired after school, during school hours. I mean, that's why are we not talking about that more? If this happened in Bucks County one time, it would be national news. But just because it happens in Philly and people are used to it, same thing with Chicago, same thing with Baltimore. It just again and again and again, and we're so desensitized to all of it. And again, and I don't want to just sound like a partisan hack because the right is part of the problem too, but that's the frustrating thing for me with how the left media reports things. And I feel very passionately about the school shootings and other things that they want to make a big deal. But if we want to talk about these issues, it starts in like big cities where this stuff is happening every day and not just on a rare occurrence. So,
It's never reported. It reminds me of the scene in The Wire, the final season, when Omar dies. Spoiler alert, sorry. Uh I know you're watching it right now. I really feel bad that I just said that. I feel like it's inevitable that the guy's gonna eventually die. But when he does eventually die, it's like in the newspaper, it's buried in the seventh page, and you're sitting there watching The Wire. You're like,
yep.
Omar Little is like the guy. Everybody knows Omar, but nobody cares that he died. And it's like, what the hell, man? You're completely
Yeah,
right. We
yeah.
hear it all the time, these school shootings and all, and there's just nothing said about the crime here in Philadelphia, and nobody wants to report on the truth as to what's going on here. And it's there's definitely we can get into it sometime. I mean, I don't know if we want to go down the path of gun laws and such today,
Mhm.
but guns are definitely a problem in the country. I'll be happy to admit that. But I think also reform is a problem that's just completely left unreported. And
And enforcing what is supposedly supposed to be on the books now, that's another issue. There's so many layers to this, and the black and white nature of reporting and gun good or gun bad every
well,
time people
everyone
die. And
focuses on guns, and that's kind of what I'm edging towards. So I don't mean to step on you there, but why there is no reporting on there when George Floyd happened, it was like, we need this reform. We need this reform. There's been no reporting on the results of said reform.
it's so true. There's
And
no
until
accountability. There's none at all.
yeah. So until we get those results, which we see because we live in Philadelphia, but people I know in Indiana have absolutely no freaking idea what's happening in the cities. Until the nation recognizes this, I don't think we're going to get out of this downward spiral of high crime,
Yep.
shit locked behind, cabinets and CVS that you have to call someone to unlock. Sorry, very frustrated
I
there.
had to deal with it today. I had to deal with that
Did you?
exact thing today.
Yeah.
But Jimmy says in our chat, Dawn reports on boys dying every morning. Yep. Yep. Might not be a boy, might be a woman, but someone's child, high schooler shot at, mother, grandmother struck. Yeah, end all be whatever. Someone carjacked every
Yeah.
day, every single day. And that's, and if you watch the news, I guess you'll see it. I know Fox, maybe if out of all of them, probably focuses on those things more than the others. To their credit, when the Philly school story came out about the gun violence, especially last fall, after the entire what was that up in Roxborough
Mhm.
with their high school being caught in fire and losing some of their
Yeah, the
students.
football players and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's I think after all of this, it should be something we talk about more. But I will say, like Fox, I know focused on that, talked about gun violence here, and on a local level, that's really important. And we just have to get to that. And I mean, that's why we're important here too, because we have to just talk about these things and figure out, this isn't just a resource for people who want to talk about national pundit type things. And I'm not saying national isn't important, but this is the stuff you have to break through these narratives and look at the logic, or we'll just sit here and keep dealing with the same thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. You want to talk some entertainment? Because I have a couple more like general theme topics. Elon, we can get into with the Disney. But entertainment, man, I got like a whole list of things because when we were live doing Dawn Show, we didn't really get into that much about TV, film, but I started Squid Game on Netflix.
oh yeah.
So sorry, I've seen the Korean series, and I'm sure you have too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was very annoyed that they were gonna do a reality show on Squid Game. 'Cause I was like, They're not gonna kill the people. Like, it's just gonna be stupid,
Yeah, it's like
corny.'"
Mr. Beast. I'm pretty sure he already did that on YouTube, like fake simulation of it.
I was wrong, I gotta say. Like, from a production standpoint, fantastic. They really shoot it. Have you watched the reality show at all?
Not yet. I
Okay.
didn't get the chance to watch it.
So they really shoot it almost exactly like the TV show, where everything is the same. They have the game, but the only difference is they use ink packets. So honestly, the way they have it set up is they have ink packets right there in your chest. And in Squid Game, what it is, it's a reality show that's put on by elites in Korea that it puts the public face to face and stupid childhood games just for the pleasure of a show. And that's what they recreated on Netflix. And they play childhood games. First one, red light, green light. And in the actual show, there's a sniper, I think, that just takes out the individuals as they move. When they're supposed to stop on the red light. In here, they have the ink packet that's right on their chest, and the producers were somehow able to simulate it looking like every time they get shot, the ink packet explodes. And I guess the contestants were told to like dramatize it and make it look like they're actually being killed. So they get shot and then they fall to the ground like they're. So if you're willing, I'm a big wrestling fan, as I stated over and over again. If you're willing to kind of put illusion of reality aside and just kind of enjoy the entertainment. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like Survivor combined with the sci-fi-ness of Squid Game. So I do suggest it.
Yeah,
Checking
I
it
need to
out.
check that out. I know Mary loves reality TV. I'm less into it than she is, but that's something just because that show is pretty impeccable. And to have I know people love it. So those
Yeah.
people in the show, I'm sure, are very excited and passionate about doing it. And I mean, you get great content when people get the chance to do stuff like that. So,
Yeah, and like how they have the honeycomb that they have to lick and
mhm.
then cut
Mhm.
out. That's the
Yeah.
second challenge, and a lot of the tension comes from they have them line up in 4 lines, all the contestants, and then the front person of each line has to, agree with the 3 others to pick which shape they're gonna cut out of the honeycomb. So, like, if they can't agree within 2 minutes and touch the door for which the shape will be of the honeycomb, then they are all killed. Well, eliminated with the ink packet. So it's a lot of fun. The tension's there. So I do suggest IMAX Theater and Franklin Institute. I saw you sent this over. It's closing, man, and I hated the thing. But go ahead. Why profess your love for it?
You hated it.
I
I
hated it. I was
just think
petrified of it.
it's something that I remember going to the Franklin Institute as a kid and looking forward to going to the city. I mean, a big part of why I even wanted to be here
Hmm.
was there were cool things. There were old museums, there were buildings, there was history, there was stuff to do. And the IMAX theater, there was no other IMAX theater like it in this, at least in this area, where it was totally the 3D. You almost were like in a recliner looking straight up.
In like a
And
dome,
yeah, yeah, it was almost like an aquarium kind of, and it's totally like half
a
of a
planetarium. A
sphere.
planetarium
Yeah,
is what it
yeah,
looks like.
I
Yeah, yeah,
guess, yeah, that makes sense because that's it was in a
yeah,
science center. But
yeah.
regardless, uh, absolutely insane. I remember watching like a Nile River documentary there, and a big part of, and I just love the movies in general and movie theaters. I know people are less up on them after COVID, but I've always loved going, and especially a theater like that. Like I really was hoping that like Oppenheimer would have been on there. That would have been an awesome
Yeah.
experience. But I remember reading the article, they mentioned to repair it and then even play blockbusters like an Oppenheimer, they would have to pay royalties to the company. So before they even see profit, so they didn't want to go down this path, and it's just upsetting. The I think King of Prussia, Cherry Hill, those are the other IMAX theater, at least in the local region. But it's just it's another thing. Not that the city's going downhill fast because of an IMAX
It's
screen.
the thing that
But
sucks.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just another thing that the city's losing, and it's part of why, to what we were saying with the cops or people wanting to live here. You got to kind of keep that hope so we can keep special things like this. Like I want to
Yeah.
be able to bring eventually, my kids to the Christmas Village and the light show and the Dickens Village, like in Macy's and all that stuff, and hopefully that
Aren't they
doesn't
getting rid
go
of
away.
that too?
Well, no, that's still here.
Is it? I hated that thing
You
too.
well, that's you hated that.
I was
I
a
loved it.
scaredy
Like,
cat as a kid, man.
yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I got to tell my dad that he'll bust you for it. Probably
Yeah,
he's
I'm sure he
obsessed
will.
with it. He's like Scrooge though in general. But I just think these things, not that other stuff. Thank God it's still around, but you got to hope that the city at least keeps some hope and keeps moving in a good direction so we can have those like
So,
memories and
when I
things.
was, like, in 5th grade, I wanna say, over at Beck Middle School in Cherry Hill, we had a field trip to the Franklin Institute, and there was, like, a it was, like, when the IMAX was brand new, and there was, like, a new Whales film, and all the kids were looking forward to it, and I don't know what it was, but they started how they used to show the flyover of Philadelphia on the
Oh,
IMAX?
dude, the flyover was so sick. I
I
actually
noped
did
the hell out
stop
at the
that.
Schuylkill River. What'd you what'd you say?
I loved watching that little intro where they flew you over the city and everything. They actually showed that video in the article at the end. If you want to
Oh,
catch
really?
it in the Enquirer, we could even post it in the description. But it's something that all of us I think can connect to growing up. Whether you grew up in the city, outside of the city, we all went there. Even if you ran out of the theater a little scared. It's just I hope we can create new things like that, and kids could keep experiencing positive things in the city and not just the depressing things we were talking about earlier.
I'm trying to see if I can pull up that video real quick, but I don't know if I can find it. You said it's in the Enquirer article?
Yeah, it's right at the end of it. I think it was a company called Anthem actually ended up making that, and it's similar to Disney Soarin'. Do you remember the Soarin' ride? It's kind of like that, and with that giant IMAX screen, it almost felt like that.
Is it
Yeah,
really
this is
9 minutes long though?
I
Where's the
think it
part that?
is. Yeah. Yeah, this was like they didn't play commercials, they just played this. Just 8-minute Philadelphia flyover.
This
And
is
then they
old.
played
This is like before the drones were like actually, you know, commonplace in production.
yeah, this was like a rare type of video.
All right, so that's loud. Let me turn that down.
Yes. And it's before all the giant apartment complexes and everything. City looks like a lot more and there's no
Yep, that's where I
cops
noped out. There it is. Yep, right at the Schuylkill.
outside. Showing the beautiful art museum.
It's much more 70s than I remember it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wonder what year this was filmed. I mean, it had to be 90s, you'd think, right? If they filmed this, you'd figure. It looks modern enough, but not
Great House
like,
Square there. Okay.
oh yeah,
Yeah, this got to be like
music.
80. Like the music
It
is
sounds
very 80s.
90s, yeah, yeah. Or 80. It's probably like I
No,
don't
it's
know,
like
might
early 90s. Reminds me of like what's the name of that Nickelodeon show with the kids, the two groups competing? Reminds me of the theme of that show. I don't remember the name of it.
Kids, Rocket Power.
No. It was like a game show. Now it's gonna kill me that I don't know this. Nickelodeon
Legends of the
game
Hidden
show,
Temple.
kids. No, I love Legend of the Hidden Temple.
I love that show too.
Wild and Crazy Kids. You remember Wild and Crazy Kids?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're in a field, like there was absolutely no production values to it. It's like throwing balloons at each other and seeing how fast they burst. Should
Yeah,
we get back to actual like show
yeah, we
stuff?
could talk about normal things now. It's enough. I like seeing the trains go by though. Big train guy.
Yeah, are you? You sit out there with the trades. You're gonna be the 80-year-old with the whistle on the side of the
Yeah.
tracks.
I'll just
Every
have a
time it comes
giant
by,
train
whistling
set
real loud at it.
in my
Yeah.
apartment, just one giant room with 400
Screaming
trains.
at the sky, listening to 2060s conservative radio. What are they gonna be talking about then? Jodie Foster called superhero movies a phase that lasted a little too long. Hopefully, people will be sick of it soon. They don't change my life. Last thing is the thing I want to ask you about. Do you expect a movie to change your life when you watch it, or do you just want entertainment? Because I'm not looking for moral values and everything.
Um, Change my life sounds dramatic, but I
Little
can
bit.
say I really like going to the movies even alone and just like seeing a
That's
story.
weird.
All right, you could say it's weird, but I like going and whether it's with someone or not and just experiencing a story and like feeling connected to it. Even if I haven't just I get like feeling emotionally connected to a movie and I think that's the
Hold on.
problem.
I got to explore this a little bit, though. You're going to the movies alone. What are you seeing? Like something that Mary doesn't want. Like I could see doing
Yeah.
it for like a horror film because Maisie would never go with me.
See, horror, I could probably convince her just because she would be scared
Okay.
and sit there with me and just like
Yeah.
hide when the scary scene comes on. If anything, it'd be something like the Flower Moon. She doesn't want to see that. It's
Gotcha,
3
yeah.
hours like that. And
Like
I feel
the
like
artsy crap that just is it's
yeah,
like over her, not over her head because she's a very intelligent person, but just like who the hell cares? Yeah.
it's stuff that's like maybe a little more complex. Something
Well,
like
send her to the 3-hour Taylor Swift concert, and you can go
yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah.
Let's do that. We can go on a double date. Me and you will
That's
go
true.
see the Flower Moon, and they can go see Taylor Swift, New Eras.
That's true. That would be a good solution. That's a good solution. But I guess what I'm trying to say, for lack of, I just did that when I like moved to Connecticut a decent amount, just because theaters were open again. I would just give random movies a shot. It was a good, cool, random thing to do on the weekend, or go with my roommate, whatever, get some Chinese food after, whatever, just something. I like doing that because movies now with superhero movies, and I think to this point, I remember going to see The Eternals, which isn't that old, another Marvel film, and it was just 3 hours of
Yeah.
like, is this worth it? Is this
It's
worth
the
my
same
time? Did I
experience I've
feel
had for every superhero movie that I've gone seen in theaters.
well, Batman, I will say, loved, fell in love with that, loved the new Batman, absolutely amazing. In my opinion, it changed my perspective on Batman fully and like the whole Dark Knight thing, even though I like Dark Knight a lot still. but it changed my perspective on all that.
So
But
I used to get trashed on an old show, a food show I was on, because I often made habit of going out to eat by myself. Like, thank
I don't
you,
think that's
party of
weird.
one. No? Okay. So I was gonna ask what's weirder, that or going to the film or movie
I
theaters?
think both are normal. People will push back on that. I mean, going out to eat, especially now at these fast casual places, that's sometimes the best time to eat. It's after a workout or a quick lunch when you're out. It's the best just eat really quick and go. Just
Right
on
at
your way. And
Chipotle.
you don't have to worry about paying for like the, if you're with your whole family or whatever, you gotta even if you go to McDonald's, might be like $50. Like, if it's just you,
Have you
whatever.
tried the, new carne asada at Chipotle?
I have not yet, but it does look
It's
good.
pretty solid, dude.
Looks
I might
good.
go get that for dinner. What did I say I
Chipotle's
wanted for
so
dinner
hit or miss.
first?
So hit or
Alright,
miss.
making a list of everything I want for dinner tonight. John's roast pork, Chipotle.
Yeah,
Beetlejuice 2 is finished filming. Had no idea it was coming out. Tim Burton directing. Gonna have the same cast. Interest you at all? Were you a Beetlejuice fan?
for sure. I actually got reignited looking into Beetlejuice after going to see it here at the theater. I
Oh, they
think it
had
was
that.
at Walnut Street.
Yeah, it was like Broadway version, wasn't it? Like Broadway
Yeah,
Travels
yeah,
presents. Yeah.
yeah. No, they the same cast traveled city to city, and they
At
did a
Walnut
great
Street.
job.
Walnut Street Theater.
I
Maybe.
think it was Walnut Street. Yeah, or
Yeah.
no, the Kimmel. I think that was the
Oh,
Kimmel.
okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Uh, but either way, it was really well done. I mean, there was a little, it's theater, so there were a couple political messaging type statements in there. But for the most part, it was very true to what Beetlejuice is and was. The music was great. And I think, especially if Tim Burton's directing another one, it very much intrigues me. I think anything, has he ever missed? I don't think he has. Like, I know he's a little weird,
Well,
but with his,
Coraline and that kind of crap was. Like,
yeah,
I like
yeah,
Nightmare Before Christmas, but Coraline wasn't really my
yeah,
kind of.
that was less my vibe too. But
Yeah.
if you're into a little bit of quirky type of, I just think Tim Burton, even with his weird Batman movies, his style
Well,
always
speaking
kind of
of, I
gets
mean, I love Michael Keaton. Like,
oh yeah.
he's really
Yeah.
great. Birdman's an awesome film. I love that. And this is kind of weird because Beetlejuice, it was announced a while back, and then the writer's strike, it only had like a day and a half left to film. And then the writer's strike put a big kibosh on that for months and months and months, and finally it finished wrapping. So I'm interested to see, like, if there's been aging in any of the stars, if they had any kids in the film, if they're gonna have to like
Yeah, right.
age them down or. Uh, Spinal Tap, Rob Reiner is coming back with Spinal Tap. I'm sure you're aware, but if you're not, it's a very influential film. One of the first mockumentaries, looks at like hair bands of the 80s. And it's kind of spun off Modern Family, The Office, like the entire series of mockumentary that we now see on TV. And Rob Reiner's now doing a Spinal Tap too. First off, Rob Reiner sucks. I'm going to put that out there so the audience doesn't think I'm like a huge Rob Reiner fan. But I do respect what Spinal Tap was. And what made Spinal Tap as a parody film fantastic was, at that time, these hair metal musicians were revered. They were like worshipped. And this kind of showed the idiotic side of the, take out the brown M&Ms, the exploding, drum set. It's a great movie because it worked for the time. But now everybody knows rock people are larger than life. They know that they're kind of out there. So I just don't see how this film's going to work. Do you see a Spinal Tap 2 working? Does that interest you? And if not rock, is there a genre of music that you think could be parodied pretty well right now?
That's tough. Like
So
parody, like you mean
so
almost like Weird Al level? Do you mean?
no, so it's literally like The Office, where it's a fictionalized version of a rock band. Did you see Rockstar? Was that Andy Samberg's a couple years ago? Where
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
essentially that, but it was back in the 80s before anyone else was doing it. So now he's doing it again, and like I feel like it's been done so many times now, and the topic at hand is so transparent that it's just gonna fall right on its face. But the reason why, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I think at least it's an attempt at something new, even if it feels like it's redundant. It's something you can put a really fresh take on, and at least hopefully is an original idea and not just some rip off of what was done at one time. because it is at least on its own. But I do agree with you. Stuff like that can come off as very corny, especially if it's hair metal. Like it almost feels like just an SNL skit from the mid '90s. Yeah, yeah.
David writes, "I'm glad I found this to watch and listen. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that." I bring up Spinal Tap too because in a similar vein of mockumentary, fake documentary, I tuned in this show called Cypher on Hulu. Had no idea what this thing was about, but it's about a rapper, a pseudo musician. It's called a pseudo music documentary. And have you heard of Tierra Whack, the rapper?
Yes, I know who she is.
Okay. I've never heard of Tierra Whack before this, and I feel like a moron because allegedly she's huge. Like she's all over TikTok. She's like a sensation. She's like the female Kanye West, essentially. And I had no idea she existed, so I got to give the context of that first. I turned on this Cypher documentary on Hulu, and I don't know what to expect. It came out this past week. I just saw it was like trending. And it's telling the story about the rise of fame of Tierra Whack, a Philadelphia-based rapper who posts a video of herself battle rapping, or it gets posted on a battle rap website, goes viral, and then takes off, and this explodes into fame. And then it's following her life, and then she's sitting in this is all like you think it's a real documentary, and she's sitting there in a diner after a show, and a fan approaches her and starts telling her that she's being brainwashed by the Illuminati. And all of a sudden, it turns into a complete different thing, and it's a thriller now, where it's still in documentary form, and I couldn't tell whether or not this was actually happening. And I'm like sitting there, like my conspiracy brain, like, oh my god, is this like an Illuminati person actually coming out and saying like I'm part of the Illuminati? And so what Tierra Whack did is I was bamboozled. I texted you. I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool documentary, and I didn't realize that this was actually like a mockumentary. That she put out there to try to essentially give fans the idea that she's part of the Illuminati, and then at the end, it's talking about a festival of lenses or something that they have to go through. Excuse me. She turns to the camera and says, and the idea is that to be, indoctrinated into the Illuminati, Freemasons, you need to have some kind of all-showing event that is shown to the general public, and the story is her avoiding that in the mockumentary, but then she turns to the camera at the end of the mockumentary and says, this was my event, like playing it up as if she was indeed. The point of this mockumentary is for her to be, inducted into this celebrity Illuminati. So if you're into the conspiracy type stuff, I do suggest checking that one out, Anthony. You into that type of crap?
I think I would like it. It's pretty. I think it's ironic that it's a mockumentary because I could see a lot of these. At least newer artists, they almost talk about this stuff.
Dude, Kanye, there's no doubt in my mind that Kanye is part of the Illuminati.
Oh, I don't know. I think Kanye would be like the sporadic one that would totally like expose them. So I think so? I don't know. Maybe.
Is Kanye the one that they try to, they try to get under the
and then
cover, and he's the one breaking free, and
and then they canceled him. I don't know. Kanye is such a loose cannon. It's so hard for me to think that he could be part of some big group that would need to be secret. I could see him tweeting about that.
There's a lot, like Beyonce, she literally puts like the all-seeing eye in her videos. There's
a lot of them do that.
And the pyramids and all. But is that just playing into the like, oh, you think I'm part of the Illuminati, so I'm gonna troll you? Or is that like
I think that's in hip hop, I think that's a theme, and that's why I think like guys like that Lil Nas X guy, he does things like that because it gets people to talk about it, gets you publicity. Well,
we're talking about. I've never heard of Tierra Whack before this.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm talking about
her. Our listeners definitely don't know about them. So I think this is something that it keeps people relevant. It pulls them in, and then it almost, people hear their kids saying, or people hear their parents saying, don't listen to that. Their kids check it out. It's all, it's edgy. It's the same thing as rock. Remember when rock came around?
Like we're locked in finally, but you could die, I could die, and then we can't shoot anymore,
Break a leg, what they told me.
I like her music, I gotta say. It's really good.
Please approach me properly. Property used to be poverty. Now I'm taking all your money like robberies. You're damn wrong if you think you're hot as me.
They put the video up the same night. I think it was like 1,000, and 6,000, to 10,000, and it just kept going up like it went viral.
So it looks like it's a legit mockumentary. Or documentary, I'm sorry.
Everybody was talking about it. super raw, super real.
I think sometimes I just can't believe this is all happening for me.
Is it Tarawak or Tierrawak? Am I getting that wrong?
Where your thoughts come from. Probably best if you just don't film this part.
All pop culture is a form of mind control. Maybe it's not all evil, but it's incepting someone's brain.
Systems of power never go away. They just evolve.
You never truly know who's watching you.
Tell the truth.
Do suggest. It was a lot of fun. You just have to be able to suspend disbelief pretty well. Once I looked it up halfway through and found out that this was fake, I was like, oh man, come on.
But
I would have
just
realized
think,
it. So.
I think the whole devil thing, and as much as she's playing into it now as well, it goes back to like music and even when Elvis came out and all, and it kept going. It went to the hair metal, went to Slayer, went to all these. Korn and all them did it.
You don't think Slayer was actually devil worshippers? Or Ozzy?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't think he was, doing satanic rituals in the corner?
No.
Biting heads off the bat in his free time.
Maybe
not
some
just for
of
the
these
show?
weird, maybe like Godsmack or there's some of these bands maybe, but not, yeah.
Did you watch Good Burger 2? Keenan and Kel are back with a sequel to Good Burger.
I saw that's out, and it just made me think, how is this guy still on SNL? And I guarantee you, Good Burger 2 probably.
I think he's the executive producer now. I think Lauren stepped aside and gave it to Keenan. Essentially said, it's your show now.
That's why it's bad. Makes sense on why it's bad now.
No, that's why it's getting better.
Lauren
got old. He got tossed aside. And yeah.
I hope it's getting better, man. I want SNL to be good. I really do. I just get worried with their direction. I feel like it's too conscious of being PR friendly, and I just Keenan and Good Burger. I like the old Good Burger, but I just feel if you're gonna keep doing this kind of stuff, you have to be a little more fresh, and it just feels redundant a lot of the time. But I would watch it.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? I still remember the damn thing. I watched Good Burger once. I grew up on Keenan and Kel and all that. I didn't watch Good Burger 2. I have no desire, but I feel like a lot of what I'm reading is it does a good job of bridging generations. So if you're a millennial with a kid who's maybe 8 to 12 years old, it's probably awesome to watch it with them and share that kind of nostalgia with them. I have no desire to check it out by myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have time this weekend to watch some streaming, and I'll probably catch up on a few series, but I don't think I'm gonna throw on Good Burger 2. I don't.
You see the trailer for the new transgendered film that Daily Wire's putting out?
Oh my god, dude,
that's so bad, dude. Like, you know me, where
I get where they're coming from, but they give these people. I think it plays into what they want on the other side, in my opinion. Not to be ironic with our podcast title, but I think what the Daily Wire does with all of this stuff, I think makes it worse and worse and worse. Because I genuinely think most people who are trans, it's something that happens after they're 18 years old, and it's a hard thing to deal with in life. So this whole, are there crazy things happening in schools? Yes. But
where women's sport. Keep going. You can talk.
No, you're good. It's just, I think in a general sense, are crazy things happening in schools? Yes, but let's call out those specific people and not just talk in these general platitudes. I can't always be proven.
Hey, it's Riley. She's in this movie. Riley. Don't sully your name, Riley.
Comedy of the year.
Triggering comedy.
Guys, this is serious.
Oh, this is an actual movie?
Yeah.
Well, like yours.
Oh,
please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
Maybe you should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
Oh my god, dude.
Like, I'm not even against the premise.
They think they're Adam Sandler or something. Like, dude, what?
That's the thing. It's like, I'm not even against the premise. It's just so horribly cringeworthily done. Like, it's
they're trying to be an early 2000s comedy, and this is just not it. I want comedy.
Scary movie, I guess.
Yeah.
You know how he identifies.
If you can beat them,
What do you know about the U.S. Opens for the Global Games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
join
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. No.
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes.
Coach, Alex, we could play basketball.
We have to get the whole team back together.
it's time.
Called Joanna Man. It's already been made.
I'm in.
Yeah, isn't what's that movie with Zac Efron? She's the man. That's,
That one's it's already been made 30 times. I just it's just
Matt Walsh is in it, of course. He's probably the mastermind behind this. They're just trying to be like this isn't, dude, you guys aren't making Billy Madison. Or now it's like they're coming out to the dodgeball scene and ESPN the Ocho. Like, what can we just oh my God.
Do you want more of it? I have more of it if you want more.
No, I don't. Please turn it off.
Like a girl.
That's what I'm with
Like
her.
a girl. Oh my God. This is like a spoof.
This is my truth.
Yeah. Is it a real movie? Like, I can't.
I mean, it seems like it's produced like a real movie, which is crazy.
It premieres December 1st at 8 p.m.
For 6 million views, of course. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
Where was the Daily Wire thing I did want to talk about though? Because here it is. This actually looks pretty decent, I gotta say. Mr. Burcham. You remember Crank Yankers?
Yes, I do.
There was a character called Mr. Burcham. He was a gym teacher. He was like one of Adam Carolla's teachers growing up. He was popularized on K-Rock. And they made Crank Yankers, had him as one of the prank callers, but now they're doing a spin-off series, Daily Wire. Stars Adam Carolla, Megyn Kelly, Brett Cooper, Roseanne Barr, Candace Owens, Danny Trejo, and more. It's like the all-star cast of conservative, right-leaning individuals. Patrick Warburton, Jay Moore, Rob Riggle signed on to this. I gotta say, this is the first time that Daily Wire has posted something. I'm kind of looking forward to this. Does that intrigue you at all?
That actually does sound really awesome, and I haven't even caught wind of that yet. But that's really cool. I mean, Megyn Kelly to be in a series. I guess I assume she'd be a news person, but that's really. I guess they're just making content now, not just news documentaries. Or well, at least I don't know. You could say that.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Mr. Burcham attempts to navigate a world he doesn't understand or approve of. It's a puppet form. It's done similar to Crank Yankers. He's befuddled by gaming streamer son Eddie, annoyed at his selfie-talking snowflake students, and is constantly at war with the school district's appointed Jedi, Justice, Equity, Diversion, and Inclusion Officer, Mr. Carponzi. His best buddy, auto shop teacher Don Gage, and his wife Wendy, played by Megyn Kelly, stepdaughter Jeannie, have his back, along with some fantasy mentors. The ghost of his gym teacher, Coach Murphy, and childhood frozen dinner icon Burly Man, played by Patrick Warburton. He'll even get an assist from sick and tired wishes she never retired Principal Bortles when competing with Navy buddies against his Army nemesis Gunderson and reformed gang member Switchblade, played by Danny Trejo, who lends a tattooed hand building a house for charity. It's a very confusing plot. I have no idea where this is going, but essentially
this is what I mean. Like that sounds cool.
Like, why are we getting so complicated? It's
exactly. Why are we and on top of that, are we really going to go down this path to that? I don't think the way to fix Hollywood. We talked about this last week with our podcast guest there, Dr. Andrew Draper. I don't think he would say, and this isn't even from a like I'm not even talking about politics. I don't think making conservative type comedies are the way to fix film. I just don't think that's the way to do it. Is it something that can
balance it out with more radicalism?
It can be a little bit of a troll and funny, and I'm not necessarily against it, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I know you didn't love Oppenheimer, but that's the kind of stuff that's a unique story. It's something new. It's something fresh. We need more things. And even Barbie, we could have our gripes about Barbie, but it's a new story. It got it connected multiple generations. It got people excited. We need that type of excitement and innovation in Hollywood. And it can't just be these,
I feel like me and you could write a better film than this crap though. Like
That's
that
what I'm
trailer
saying,
was
yeah.
just so bad.
Yeah.
Like the premise is funny. It's been done again and again. I mean, you have white chicks, you have a Joanna Man, you have
Mhm.
like this isn't a new idea to Hollywood to
He's
try
the man.
a man dressing up as a female to compete in
Mhm.
sports or do something else. It's been done over and over again. I just feel like it's trying to throw meat to the
Exactly.
lions
Yep.
just for money's sake, and it's like very corporate feeling almost. Like
Well,
the jokes are just so
that's
badly written. It sounds like they're spit out by a AI generator in effort to make money.
well, and a company like Daily Wire wants to complain about Disney. If you guys are doing that and just spitting out any sort of content and begging for subscriptions, how are you any different?
Yeah.
Really? Unless you're giving, if that was some sort of documentary and there was a panel with a lot of those people, I mean, that'd be something I'd be maybe more intrigued for. I'll still check this out. It's funny to me that someone even like Megyn Kelly's involved. But I don't know.
Seems
I don't think this is how you fix Hollywood or movies the way we want it to.
To quote the great Alec Baldwin, seems interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. Do we have any callers?
Do we have any callers? David? Would you like to read from a Chinese food menu? So finally, let's just wrap with this because he said Disney triggered me to remember Elon Musk uncensored. So please, if there's children around, which I don't think there are, with our 18 listeners or so, I don't know if I like the vibe, but here, take a watch.
And you're clarifying this now, but there's a public perception that that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
That's the reaction.
I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Well, let me ask you then.
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
How
do you think then about the economics?
How do you recover from
of
that?
X?
First off, just behind the scenes before we get into the meat of it. That happens to you and you're doing what we do. How do you recover from that? Like that's a tough follow-up after he says
pushing.
GFY.
Yeah, I'd keep pushing. In a sense, he's like, how could you ever? The way he recovers, how could you? You have to, but that's your business model. And I think they don't understand what they're dealing with. I mean, people are saying this. I don't know if it's necessarily true, but after Dana White went on with Theo Von, which that's a great podcast. If you haven't listened to it, check that out. This weekend with Theo Von. He's a great comedian. And not that he's right-leaning, but he's from the South. I think he's very open to political opinions. Bobby Kennedy also was on his show. But regardless, Theo Von was on with Dana, and they talked about canceling and companies going after people for political opinions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Theo said that Peloton was upset with him after the Bobby Kennedy thing, and Dana called them out. And Dana also called out, I can't even think of the company now, but
it's crazy to see like this UFC sect though. Like Dana, you have, I think Joe Rogan's been vocal on this line, where essentially just they're using the mixed martial arts standpoint of, I essentially fight you. You want to throw down, then I don't advertise and see who let the public decide who's in the negative here. And you alluded to it. I think they don't realize who they're messing with. Elon has the money to just say F you. I don't care about this company. Let it fold.
Well, and even Disney's invested in things like the UFC, and I don't think they want to lose that money or those viewers either. So that makes things very, very much complicated. And I think the whole point there is don't tell me who to vote for. I won't tell you who to vote for. And if we could get back to that place as a country and have people put their money where their mouth is, I think we'd be at a better spot. And hopefully this really is kind of opening up a new level of where people are supporting a cause and putting money there instead of, what we've seen lately throughout most of our lifetime is people just profit off of things and don't necessarily even have a cause. And there's like these shell causes that don't really help anyone other than people at the top of different, little sects of things. So,
yeah, it's just. All right,
I don't love Elon, but I mean, come on, you gotta.
And that's the thing is, like, there are parts of Elon that I'm like, I don't know if I like his style of approach. But he goes on. I'll play the rest of it real quick because he goes on to explain why he's doing this, and I think he's kind of right on the money.
If part of the underlying model, at least today, and maybe it needs to shift, maybe the answer is it needs to shift away from advertising. If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be beholden to those who have this view, what do you do?
Why?
I understand that, but there's a reality
and that's
too.
So hold on. When I say stuff about Elon annoys me, that's the kind of stuff that annoys me. Like he asks the question and he just says the GFY again. He smiles like smugly, like he's a 12-year-old. It's
he's
like
he's a little bit of a media hog, but at the same time, he's also awkward. I think he was even confirmed of having social disorders before.
Yep.
So, I just think it's just his way of finally. I look at all the headlines.
He's notorious for not being able to look people in the eye. I remember him telling Joe Rogan that.
Well, but
conversations
look what he deals with though, and I'll give him this. As much as maybe that seems brash or brazen and the little smirk and the attitude from Elon, but look at all the headlines and how much a place like New York Times, like they make a living out of every single week making these insane headlines about him and saying he's this extremist when people who have just as much money and just as much influence influence those headlines that go against Elon. So the fact that it can't be a little more, I guess even keeled with that kind of thing. I understand why Elon gets it's every time, dude. Once your feet get in those quicksand and they make you dig your feet in, you're ready, and you'll keep going in and yelling.
Well, you approach it with a hardened kind of attitude.
Yeah,
right. Because it's gonna. Who do we have on recently? Marjorie Taylor Greene. She kind of had that because she's been dealing with the flack of media nonstop, and she comes on Dom's show, and I think if she knew Dom's show, she would know that we're gonna have fun with her. It'll be a good time. But she kind of came on with a guarded nature. And I think that's kind of exactly what we're talking about with Elon is when he's dealing with somebody like the New York Times, who he knows leans left. He doesn't want to deal with their crap in the first place. He's just doing it to kind of get the message out there. So the snarkiness, I guess, kind of makes sense. But I just wish he would skip over the GFY again with the corny smile and just get right to the point because he makes a fantastic point.
How long do you think he thought about that?
What?
A while. I feel like he thought about that for a while. And
with the GFY?
He probably wanted to emphasize.
Oh yeah, especially when he says like, "I'm looking at you, Bob." Like you know that was pre-planned. Like he was waiting to do that. But the point he makes is very important, and I think it should have been a little bit earlier than all the smugness.
Yes. No.
I mean, Linda Yaccarino's right here, and she's got to sell advertising.
Absolutely. So, totally. No. Actually, what this advertising boycott is going to do, it's going to kill the company.
And do you think that
and the whole world will know that those advertisers killed the company, and we will document it in great detail.
But those advertisers, I imagine, are going to say we didn't kill the company.
Oh yeah.
They're going to say
tell it to Earth.
But they're going to say Elon,
an alien?
You killed the company because you said these things.
Tell it to Earth.
They were inappropriate things, and that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform. Right. That's what they're going to say.
And let's see how Earth responds to that.
Dude, I'm serious. I think this guy's an alien.
This goes back to
we'll both make our cases,
right?
And we'll see what the outcome is.
What are the economics of that for you? I mean, you have enormous resources, so you can actually keep this company going for a very long time. Would you keep it going for a long time if there was no advertising?
I mean, if the company fails because of an advertising boycott.
Oh, well, that was interesting. Sad that I got cut off. But yeah. So is the guy an alien, first off? Because he definitely, I feel, is playing to the part that I want you to believe, that naming his kids after math equations and such. Makes a great point, though. Makes a really good point.
And I think he talks later in there and talks about how free speech isn't free. It costs a little bit. And they press him on, did you suppress the New York Times, which it's proven already, and they have to double down and double down and double down. but it was already proven that tweets were suppressed before any of all this happened. So that's, I don't know, regardless to ask that is lopsided,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But regardless, they're asking him that, and he's like, oh, did you go to people you work with and say, oh, the Times, I don't like what they're saying. You know, if they don't pay, just suppress them. And he didn't confirm it, but by not confirming it, it almost confirmed that he did it. But at the same time, he said free speech isn't totally free. You guys make people pay subscriptions. He's like, it costs a little bit. And he made that joke. It costs a little bit. And I think especially if you're an organization like the New York Times paying $1,000 a month to get your stories prioritized on people's feeds, I don't think that's a crazy ask. I mean, that's business. That's if you want a front page ad every day with the Twitter logo or the X logo on New York Times, are they going to give it to him for free every day? No. So I think
I miss my blue check mark, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think Elon's whole point with all of this is, you know, this is just a place for us to go and have conversations. And this isn't just your little media marketplace that you get to control every narrative. And that's why I think he gets so much backlash.
I'm looking here to my right. By the way, I do indeed completely agree with what you just said. There was a thread on Reddit that said, what's a conspiracy theory that you believe to be true? I think it was just another example of BuzzFeed writers trying to get their job written for them, their articles written for them by asking Reddit. But the number one answer was that celebrities name their children stupid names so their private names can remain private. So like X or whatever the kid's name is, XI or Apple.
Yeah.
Are like fake names that they're given for like stage names, and they actually have real normal names behind the scenes. And I think that might be true because I can't imagine going through life with the names of Elon's kids. All right, I'm way over. Anything else you want to hit before we get on out of here?
All right. Well, I'll just be brief, but we got to talk Eagles and Niners. San Francisco fans are out of their minds. People think the Eagles suck for some reason. I mean, we did lose to the Jets, so I'll put that out there. But regardless, Eagles, Niners, how are you feeling this weekend? Do you think they can pull it out? And what are your predictions, if anything?
Honestly, I'm feeling like this rivalry means more to me at this point than the one against the Cowboys, because I am much more passionate about beating the crap out of the 49ers. like I spent all week in the Reddit Eagles forums all over social media, and even in 49ers, like the general, like overall football NFL discussions. And they are the saltiest bunch of fans I've ever heard in my life, man. They're posting all this crap about, oh, if we were healthy, we would have beat you guys. And like they've gotten some kind of chip on their shoulder, and they hate us. And it's really driven me to hate them back. And I hate them more than the Cowboys fans. Yeah.
It's constant. It's constant.
Anytime the Philadelphia Eagles fans do it, they get trashed for it. But for some reason, it's enabled and encouraged by the national media for 49ers.
Yeah. Nobody else in the league is allowed to say that the refs are the reason we lost the game.
Yeah.
But everyone else is allowed to say the only reason the Eagles are like this is because the refs have helped them out to this point. Get out of here. No team is 10-1 just because of the refs. Just stop it. And to your point, I mean, I've talked to plenty of Cowboys fans who have crazy opinions like that. But 49ers fans are just completely and just earmuffs, batshit crazy. They just totally are batshit crazy. They've lost their minds because they know they have a mediocre quarterback in Brock Purdy. Big moments come down to big players, just like Jalen Hurts, and love him or hate him. Man had 5 total touchdowns last week. He's proven everyone wrong. He is the far and away #1 MVP candidate. The Eagles will cover 2.5 right now.
Ooh.
Live on FanDuel. Plus 124, 10-1 team, plus 124 at home. Eagles money line. I also like that. And 47.5 over under. I'm gonna go over. I think that'll go over. The Eagles defense will limit San Fran, but it'll still be a decently high scoring game.
Well, I think their strategy, 49ers, has to be to score early and then hold the ball, play the ground game, and try to run out the clock. Because
just give it to McCaffrey. That'll be their game plan.
The Eagles, I mean, first half, second half, they're two completely different teams. So if they get a lead in the first half, as every other team has against us, they got to do something to hold on to that lead.
Well, Goddard could come back this week. We'll see. I think they're kind of keeping that on the low. I don't know if he practiced yet today. That hasn't come out, the reports yet. We will see. If he did, though, that could be something they bring out of their back pocket. I know Swift was more involved a little bit last week as well. So I don't know. I think the offense is rolling. So I really think they cover that 3.
Anytime touchdowns?
It's gonna be it's such a gamble, but I think easy. Just throw a Jalen Hurts one in there for the nice little tush push. And also, I'm gonna AJ Brown. Not that he's been quiet, but he's been quieter. I would easily go AJ Brown anytime touchdown this week.
Really? Speaking
Yeah,
of receivers, Zach Ertz, I think everyone's in the camp of pursuing him.
Yeah, I think especially depending on where Goddard's at, if he returns this week, maybe they wouldn't entertain it. But I think people would very much welcome Zach Ertz with open arms, hoping to get to another Super Bowl and kind of giving them a little bit more depth there. And one more Eagles note before we wrap up. The Eagles-Seahawks game has been flexed to Monday night on week 15. So the Eagles will have another primetime matchup Monday night, 8:15 to my own dismay, just because I'm gonna have to get all those highlights after that. But
Like, was there a moment on the field?
No, I wasn't necessarily a moment on the field. We was just talking ball and said what I said, and and they dragged it on or whatever. But whatever the case may be, but it's kind of like I stated yesterday, like at the end of the day, like I said it, but I don't regret it.
Now, obviously, you heard of Hassan Reddick. I heard boo-hoos. I saw that. I don't know if he's talking. I don't know who he's talking to, the boo-hoos and all of that. But I do want to ask you. And here was the quote: "Talk is cheap. They get to come back into the link. It was a lot of boo-hoos last year, a lot of crying, a lot of what ifs, a lot of this, a lot of that. They get a chance to come back in here, line that shit.
What you got, Debo?
It again. So
did she just say it?
I mean, boo-hoos, Debo.
Hey man, we'll catch you on Sunday.
Is this one of those? Is this one of those where you see Shanahan and you say, "Yo, give me a chance to chip number 7 on this next play"?
No, I don't play that type of game.
You don't want to block Hassan?
No, whatever. I don't. Whatever Kyle asks me to do, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna go to him and be like, "Yo, let me chip this guy."
I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that at all.
I feel like you asked for the ball though. This isn't one of those where you're like, "Hey."
I'm not a guy that go in there. I'm not a guy that goes, what all his players are capable of. And he do a great job of sharing the ball around.
Yeah.
He got yelled at. He got yelled at in the locker room, and he has to play it cool like that. I mean,
you think that's what happened? Shanahan was like, "Tone it down, brother." You're giving him bulletin board material.
Well, and the Eagles, I think, are in a similar boat. I think Sirianni is saying, "Stay cool, calm, collected out there. Don't let them think we're in your head." I think the Eagles are pumped up for this game. I really do. I'm hoping they give them a little bit more bulletin board material because it'll get them that much more ready. But I think the Eagles are fired up behind the scenes. But Sirianni's keeping them, cool, calm, and collected the way they should be.
I'm not a fan of Sirianni's hot-headedness, man. I got to admit.
Hot-headedness?
Yeah, him going off at fans and talking trash. And
I don't think
there's a sense of leadership,
fans,
man. Like he needs to be a leader. He needs to. Like Shanahan, he's
so
been
passionate.
saying, like
Shanahan's
been saying in the media
we gotta do better. Like no passion. He shows energy. He shows passion. He's a real human being. I like him.
Yeah, well, I like him. Don't get me wrong. I think he's done a great job as a coach. It's just that one aspect I wish he could tone down a little bit because, like Joe Giglio said on WIP, he goes, he wouldn't be surprised to see before the game punches or a shove in someone's face, something like that thrown. And I think the rhetoric that he kind of propagates, Nick Sirianni, only leads to players feeling as though they can. It's almost like a Krasner thing that I'm leading towards. But if you build it, they will come. You give the opportunity to throw punches beforehand because of trash talk, and you're trash talking yourself. How can you go to the team and say, "Hey guys, maybe we should tone that down a little bit on the field and not throw punches at the opposing team before the game"?
I mean, if anything, I feel like the Bills players were the ones that were out of line.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
They definitely were.
But at the same time, I don't think, if anything, I think people see how much Sirianni cares, the players and the entire team, and they see it from a passion standpoint. Sirianni doesn't sit there and like fight with fans. At the end, he screamed at Chiefs fans there and he's happy. Like, you're not talking now, but like, I don't think that's normal. That's like football. I mean, come on, they got the W. That's some passion. That's a football guy right there. Excited, got the win.
How long? Like this is great when you're winning, but when you're losing and your players start acting out of frustration, and you're also acting out of frustration or emotion, how do you say to your players, sit them down and say, that's not the way that we do business when it's clearly the way that you as the coach do business.
There's a difference between emotion and passion. And I think if you play that line and just make sure you don't get too overreactionary in the moment, the passion like that wins out in football. I mean, even when you're a team that's not going to make the playoffs, you're outside looking in, you're going to look at those divisional games and you're going to try to beat the heck out of your opponent and keep them out of the playoffs. And I think that's something he has, and he's going to just prove, not that the Eagles are in that situation, but I just think Sirianni shows he cares as much as the players. Maybe some think it's corny. Maybe it is sometimes a little too much, but I don't know. It's worked thus far, and I think there's a reason it has.
Like it fits. It definitely fits with like his yelling is very Philadelphia fan like. Like he's definitely fitting into the role of a Philadelphia fan as a coach. It's just I'm nervous to see how it goes when the time eventually inevitably runs out on the success 10-1 seasons back to back and all.
Oh, stop it. We can't get to that mind. We want to find things to be negative about. Get over it. We're 10-1.
All right.
To beat the damn.
Let's not go down that path. Let's get out of here before I get too negative.
We'll beat the Niners. Stop it.
I got to go watch Survivor. I missed it last night. And that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. Making some jambalaya, watching Survivor, maybe have a glass of wine.
Enjoy it. Happy birthday.
Thank you. It was yesterday. I got a nice present of bleach to the eye. It was fantastic. Great initiation of 34 years old.
Yeah. Adulthood.
Yeah. It was like the fraternity all over again. Pledged it. All right, brother. You have a good night. You can hear you tomorrow at what time you start your day. It's a very early day.
I will be up bright and early, 6 to 10 with Kalen Company, 10 to 12 with Dawn, and I'll be around. We won't have another Otherside episode till next week, but stay tuned. We'll be live and local for you with 1210 as much as possible.
Yep, and you can find me on the Dom Giordano program from noon until 3, and on Twitter and all that other place. I got trash for saying Elf was the top Christmas movie.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I'm happy to hear that. I feel very shunned after the week of It's a Wonderful Life fans coming after me. And how dare me say that Elf is the greatest. It's the greatest Christmas.
I love It's a Wonderful Life, but come on. Elf is like what Christmas is. What Christmas
Well, I explained to Dom. I'm sorry to keep the show going, but I explained it to Dom. I said Elf has the humor. It has the touchy, like the father-son kind of relationship. It has the romance.
Every element.
It touches every element of a good movie. So, I mean, It's a Wonderful Life. Don't get me wrong. It's a very touching film, emotional, pulls at the heartstrings. You want the angel to get its wings, but it's it's not Elf. It's not Elf. Elf's awesome, man. All right, before we piss off people and get them to tune out in the future. I'm Dan Borowski, Anthony DiRenzo from the other side, checking out 1210 WPHT. You'll be hearing more of us in the holiday season, I'm sure, as we talk more about entertainment, politics, sports, all of it. You heard it. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.